I'm Amit Chakravarty and I head the strategic projects in a company called Almarai. And it's a group of company and we deal with dairy and food in the Middle East. In fact, we are the largest integrated dairy and food manufacturer and distributor in the world. And we have been growing at a furious pace for the last 5-6 years. And we have come to a stage where we are about 5.6 billion riyals in turnover, which is around 1.2 billion euros. And our growth outlook for the next 5 to 6 years is also very aggressive. We want to double our business in the next 5 years. I am currently heading strategic projects and I report into the group CFO for the Almarai group. My previous portfolio was head of SAP applications within the organization. I have rolled on to head strategic project and we are doing a big initiative for supply chain planning and execution within the whole group, which we have named as Project Apex. So this is one big initiative which we are running now. The central part of it is implementation of SAP APO in the group, but there are many conjoint initiatives like value management. What we realized was Almarai over a period of time, it operated in divisions. Like we have got a farming division which is headed by a general manager farming. We have got a sales division, we have got a marketing division, we have got an operations division, and each one of them are quite excellent. But when we talk about a function like planning, which cuts across the division, there we were facing some challenges, especially with this kind of a growth. Decision-making process would be protracted, no single source of truth, and any small initiatives which would be taken to assimilate a small organization within Almarai Group would be quite long drawn. So a need was felt to get into this kind of an initiative for planning and execution. But what was not there was a culture of evaluating the project progress vis-a-vis value. So we have declared this on 1st of November when we kicked off this initiative. We have actually made an explicit declaration that we are going to track this project and program not only in terms of time and budget, but also in terms of value. And we have defined in many areas, we have actually defined what value stands for. We have interpreted value in terms of what kind of additional financial and non-financial gains are accrued within the organization, which are visible to all the stakeholders. All the stakeholders means all the stakeholders within and outside the organization. Now, we have identified KPIs which are tangible, which have been linked to the strategic goals, and this is very much a part of the value management framework actually. And those KPIs, many of them are quite quantifiable, and the data source has been established to get the figures for pre-project values, and then we can evaluate what we would have post-project. And the more important thing is the KPIs are being tracked regularly and we know where we stand and we know where we want to be. So the entire aspiration has been broken down into smaller bits. We had strategy sessions and where we pooled in all the top executives of the company, the stakeholders, and we went through two kind of frameworks. We were operating within two frameworks. One is the value management framework and the other is supply chain operations reference model, which gives attributes for products that we take to market. So within our product categories, we identified which are the attributes which are important and which are the attributes where we are not doing very well. Now on this particular front, we were helped immensely by benchmarking figures, which were again provided through the value management framework, because in tangible things like inventory days cover or inventory as a percentage of sales revenue, we identified that Almarai has got a scope for improvement and there is a gap which we can fill. This would bring in a huge benefit in the bottom line. So this was identified as a sub-initiative within the whole program as a focus area, and responsibilities and accountabilities were affirmed, and we are tracking it accordingly. See, normally what happens is, that is before we adopted the value management framework, there would be some key KPIs which would emerge out of a project or a program. But the definition itself would be articulated somewhere midway in the project, when discussions of the program and project is underway and you have already clocked in some amount of time. That did not happen in this initiative. We defined the KPIs pretty early on because we had a visibility regarding the end goal for value. That's point number one. Point number two is the KPIs, now that they're visible, our discussions, a part of the discussion hovers around that. So we know that we have got a scope for improvement in working capital. We do not have too much of scope for improvement in order fulfillment cycle time. So we are doing fine, thank you very much. But inventory days cover is a thing where we can focus. And there it's broken down into smaller activities, and every time we meet in the steering committee meeting, we review the activities which have been implemented on ground, make some kind of an assessment regarding the success of their adoption, and then adopt some more. So these small steps have got a direct effect on the bottom line of the organization, which can actually be seen in terms of numbers. Adoption of the value management framework has actually enhanced the visibility of the project. This was supposed to be a high profile, highly intense project, all right, but the facets of this program and initiative is actually being interpreted as generic enough which can be adopted for other initiatives in the organization. This is being touted already as an example. So, and we are only 30% there in terms of software realization. So you need to understand which part of project implementation we are in. So at such an early phase, already being touted as an example for others, for a company which is more than 17 years old and 1.2 billion euro turnover, is, I think, a significant achievement. It's a small and new group, and I come from a IT and business background. So with that background within the organization, it looks logical to go for systems integration more. But of course there are no limits, and there is no mandate which says that we are limiting it only to something which has got an IT dominant flavor. Now, as we discussed, Apex is being touted as an example not only for IT projects, but also for other initiatives. In fact, we recently had, I wasn't a part of this, but it happened in one of the board meetings where people discussed that product development can follow a similar path as we are doing in Project Apex. So these are good to hear. Yeah, I think a structured framework is an imperative. It's putting your thought into some kind of an organized platform. That is important. So even though you may have a very illuminated session with very good ideas, but to translate those ideas into actions needs some kind of a framework to be put on. So that is one thing which SAP has come out with. I congratulate on that. That's a good thing. And the other thing is we need to have the stamina of visualizing what the functions are. Only having aspiration will not help. It needs to be decomposed into functions and processes and then track them through. So a combination of these two will make it happen.